Porky in Wackyland. Porky in Wackyland is a 1938 Warner Bros. Looney Tunes animated short film directed by Bob Clampett. The short was released on September 24, 1938, and stars Porky Pig venturing out to find the last doo-doo bird, which he finds in Wackyland, a land that makes no sense located in darkest Africa. In 1994, Porky in Wackyland was voted No. 8 of the 50 greatest cartoons of all time by members of the animation field. In 2000, it was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the United States Library of Congress, which selected the short for preservation in the National Film Registry. Plot: a newspaper shows Porky Pig traveling to Africa to hunt for the last doo-doo bird. Upon landing his airplane in darkest Africa, Porky sees a sign telling him that he is in Wackyland, where anything can happen. He tiptoes along the ground in his airplane and is greeted by a roaring beast, who suddenly becomes effeminate and dances away into the forest. A musical interlude introduces several more bizarre creatures that inhabit Wackyland's impossible landscape. These include a one-man band that plays its nose like a flute, a rabbit swinging in midair, and a beast with the heads of the Three Stooges. One creature wears a sandwich board advertising information about the doo-doo. The creature beckons Porky into a dark passage, where he falls down a chute and watches the doo-doo's big entrance. The doo-doo introduces itself and then tramples Porky while scat singing. Porky gives chase, but the doo-doo repeatedly uses surreal tricks to escape and humiliate him. Sometime later, the doo-doo encounters a creature selling newspapers announcing that Porky's hunt has been a success. Shocked by the news, the doo-doo drops its guard long enough for the creature Porky in disguise to grab it. Porky briefly celebrates catching the last doo-doo, but is bested again when the bird calls for its other doo-doo friends. Voice cast. Information is taken from the website Likely Looney, mostly Mary. Mel Blanc as various characters, including Porky Pig and Dodo, Billy Bletcher as the Roaring Goon, Ted Pierce as Mysterious Voice, Dave Weber as the Prisoner, Bob Clampett as Vocal Effects. Reception: Steve Schneider's 1998 That's All Folks, The Art of Warner Bros. Animation writes that with this short, The Lord of Cartoon Misrule, Clampett established conclusively that in animation, realism is irrelevant. In the 2001 Masters of Animation, John Grant writes that this short, in its cumulative effect, is more wildly inventive than anything even Tex Avery had produced for Warner's animation historian. Follow-ups and derivative works. Much of the Wackyland sequence was adapted and reused by Clampett for inclusion in his 1943 short, Tin Pan Alley Cats. A color remake of Porky in Wackyland was supervised by Friz Freleng in 1948. Retitled as Doe for the Doo-Doo, the remake was released in 1949. The films were nearly identical, in many cases appearing to match frame by frame in certain details, albeit with Porky's appearance updated by redoing most of the animation of the character, the voices having evolved with less use of speeding up, and the backgrounds being changed to a surreal Dallas landscape. Doe for the Doo-Doo was produced in Technicolor, but was originally released in Cinecolor due to a dispute with the Technicolor Corporation. Later reissues were printed by Technicolor. There were at least 2 Terratoons plagiarizations of Porky in Wackyland in the 1940s or 50s. Dingbat Land 1949 starred Gandy Goose and Sourpuss. The role of the Doo-Doo was taken by a minor Terratoons character, Dingbat. The second film, a more direct plagiarization of the Porky Pig/Doo-Doo cartoons, starred a British hunter and a Doo-Doo stand-in. The creature didn't talk, but made strange hooting noises and flung flames from a tuft of hair on top of its head. Tex Avery, for whom Clampett worked as an animator in the mid-1930s, borrowed strongly from this cartoon for his 1948 MGM cartoons Half Pint Pygmy, in which the characters, George Jr., traveled to Africa in search of the world's smallest pygmy, only to discover that he has an uncle who's even smaller. Clampett would again use the Three Stooges parody when a later creation of his, Beanie and Cecil, faced the dreaded three-headed threep. According to writer Paul Dini, the Doo-Doo Bird is the father of Go-Go Dodo, a character on the 1990s animated TV series Tiny Toon Adventures, and a second Wackyland is drawn into Acme Acres by Babs and Buster Bunny. A small clip from the film was used in a Slappy Squirrel segment on another Warner's animated TV series of the 1990s, Animaniacs. The segment, titled Critical Condition, featured Porky in Wackyland as part of a fake Laserdisc release. The Doo-Doo Bird has made occasional guest spots in the DC Comics Looney Tunes comic book, being colored in grayscale as opposed to the rest of the art being in color. The character makes an appearance in the Wii game Looney Tunes, Acme Arsenal, as an unplayable character. He is given a first name, Yo-Yo the Dodo. Yo-Yo can also be seen as a brief cameo in the beginning of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.